You're listening to Lore Friendly. I'm Kris Takahashi, and with me, as always, is Alice Bell. How are you doing, Alice? How is life?
We've been recording for 15 minutes.
Yes, we were talking about just completely random shit, and
You can just like Franken stitch it in somewhere. It's gonna be fine.
yeah, I don't know if that's gonna.
I mean,
fit
you can
anywhere.
put it as like a super extra credits thing. It's like, you know how you'll sometimes put a really funny outtake at the back? Instead, it's just 15 minutes of us talking about Tinder and roommates.
Yeah. No one wants to listen to that. So, first topic I wanted to talk about was
Your roommate.
No, I don't want to talk about my roommate ever again. Let's bury that topic.
Bury the hatchet.
Along with the Fatberg.
Yeah, please bury the fucking Fatberg. It's the worst.
It's moved to Baltimore. It's teleported.
That's vile.
Reproduced.
No, that's the fucking worst. Just don't remind me of it. I'm still traumatized.
So, Red Dead Redemption, a new trailer dropped.
I have played.
And
It looks pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah. There's parts that kind of go uncanny valley
Yeah.
with the faces, but they're like really detailed. It's kind of amazing.
I've played Red Dead Redemption a grand total of once for half an hour.
Wow. So you're an expert.
Yeah, I know everything about the mechanics. I know that you can tie people up onto train tracks. And that's the game.
Is that what you did for 30 minutes?
Yeah. I was trying to learn the mechanics and I tied someone up on his train track instead. And then I rode around a little bit.
Well, are you a fan of westerns at all?
We covered this very, very early on in this podcast life cycle.
No, you hate westerns from
yeah,
what I recall.
apart from Westworld.
Yes.
Maybe Red Dead can appeal to me by making everyone robots.
Well, the thing that you the thing that you missed from Red Dead Redemption is that it really is a story of redemption. It's this guy, John Marston, who used to be an outlaw, and he is trying to like start over. He's, trying to like start a family. He has a kid, and he's basically forcibly employed by like the authorities into like rounding up the old members of his gang, more or less. So like the entire story is about this like guy trying to find redemption, and the ending is like, I'm not gonna spoil it.
I know the ending. I know that it ends with firing squad. That was my gun impression.
Wow, so authentic. I would be looking for cover right now if I was an Imperial Stormtrooper.
Pew 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 pew.
But yeah, it's kind of like a story that says like, okay, redemption, you never really find it out here in like
The Wild Wild
West.
West.
It's just the Wild Wild West.
I only know that,
that
song
song,
from Just
right?
Yeah.
Wild Wild West.
I know the full Just Dance to that. I
Dude.
got like 5 stars on that, and it was the proudest moment of my
Wow.
life.
It's a slower song though, because it's a rap song. It's like one of those like 1980s rap songs.
Yeah, but you do loads of like jumping around with your finger guns. It's great.
Okay.
And you run around in
I
circles
don't think the
a lot.
finger guns are necessary.
And
I don't think the finger guns are necessary. You're just adding that for extra flavor.
And you do the really weird like super cowboy walk. You do a lot of that where it's like kind of a half squat. It's really good. It's a really good dance.
I'm sure you're very good at dancing to the Wild Wild West.
Maybe that's
Even though it's not a song you're
what
supposed
we
to
can
dance to.
do as like our next subscriber thing is we can all play Just Dance, but it'll only be audio.
If only John Marston could dance as well as you, maybe he would have avoided all those bullets. He's just shaking and moving.
Just
Yeah.
like Matrix style. Whoa, whoa.
There is a slowdown thing, isn't there, in Red Dead Redemption?
Oh.
Anyways, there's a slowdown
Oh
mechanic. I'm
yeah,
pretty
it's
sure
like
there
the
is one.
quick draw thing, isn't it?
Yeah. But the thing about this new trailer is this guy, what's his name? Alex Morgan. Well, first of all, never trust a guy with 2 first names. But seriously, words to live by.
Yeah, Chris Charles Takahashi.
Yeah. What? Charles? Who the fuck is Charles?
That's your middle name. You told me very quietly, like before we started recording.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
why I don't trust you.
It's Chuck. No, it's two first names. Like if your name was like, who's the guy with two first names? Dwayne Wade or something.
Billy
Boy George.
Yeah.
Boy George.
Billy Bob.
See, his last name is Thornton, but this guy seems really evil. Like there doesn't seem to be anything like redeeming about his character. Like he's like threatening a boy in the trailer. So I don't know really how that's gonna go. But
maybe he's not the actual protagonist. Maybe the boy who he threatened is the protagonist, and he goes out on a search for revenge, and instead, he finds redemption.
That's terrible.
I should write all the scripts for everything ever.
But yeah, there doesn't seem to be a redemption taking place. So I found it interesting, first of all, that they would name it Red Dead Redemption 2, because that's kind of clunky, isn't it, as a title? Red Dead Redemption 2.
They should have named it Red Dead Revenge.
Yeah, see, that sounds cool.
It's still got the alliteration. It's got the same rhythm to it. What other R words could they shove at the end of it?
I don't know. Maybe they should just call it like Red Dead Really Bad Evil Guy, because that's what he looks like. He looks like a really bad evil guy. I don't know.
And you say that I'm bad at this kind of thing.
My title's good. I'm sorry. It won't fit on the cover, but you'd have to use really small font. But it would totally, at least it would fit the story. It would be a bad title, but the story would fit.
Red Dead, we are a ripoff of Westworld. What? I'm tired. What?
Red Dead Robots.
Yes! That is a title. That is something I can get behind.
And then they could make the whole video game about robots.
Yes. Although, don't you want it to be like a little bit of a twist?
Like, how so? I was thinking Westworld type theme park.
Like, yeah, but like, so it turns out like end of the second act twist that everything is robots and simulations and shit. Kind of like Assassin's Creed before it went insane and money grubbing. That kind of thing. So like you realize halfway through the game that, oh, it's all a simulation. Oh, it's all robots.
See, I don't like that as a mechanic. I don't like that at all as a mechanic, because it takes you out of the world, more or less. It's like immersion breaking. It's a reminder that the world is fake, whereas you want to live.
Yes, but Westworld is fake. We want to be reminded that it's fake. We want it to surprise us, like, oh, shit.
Well, no, it's a theme park, though. It's presented as a theme park, and the robots are unaware that it's fake. The humans are aware that it's just a theme park for fun.
What if we play a robot?
Ah.
What if we play the robot? We can learn what it's like to play an NPC.
Ah, there you go. See, that would work as far as a twist is concerned.
And then there's like glitches and shit, and you realize how odd everyone's behavior is. And you slowly come to... We basically just like put the first season of Westworld.
Yeah. Red Dead regurgitation.
Yes! That's our title. And then we could subtitle it Anthony Hopkins' Revenge.
Red Dead ripoff.
Yes. That is it. Let's fucking pitch it to Rockstar right now.
Why do we even bother like hiring actors? We could just like
Yes.
steal all the sound bites from
Exactly.
Westworld and just put them in the game. Just like copy the exact script.
I mean, it'd save all the issue with SAG, right?
Yeah, I think there would be other issues.
Yeah, like using performances for their unintended performance.
like stealing. Speaking of which, do you want to talk about SAG or?
I know that the strike has ended. I haven't really looked into the conditions beyond what you've told me. But history, folks. Longest strike in, like, media history.
Well, apparently they got compensation for extra hours that are not supposed to be accounted for, like, in the contract. And, like, so overtime, more or less. And they got, what else? Like, compensation, additional compensation for, like, stressful work, I guess. Like, if it's stressful in your throat or something like that. I'm not
like
sure.
doing a ghoul voice.
Yeah, things like that. But what they didn't get was like the thing that they were asking for most, which is the residuals, like payments for like games that sell a bunch, more or less. And that's like the biggest thing is like that.
Yeah.
The residuals are like the most, I guess, sought after benefit in any kind of business because, you know.
Yeah.
So that was kind of sad, but it is progress.
It's not great progress.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not sure if they're happy with it, is what I'm saying, but yeah.
they're not going to be. I would not be surprised if a couple of months down the line, or maybe a year or so, like, things kick off again.
Yeah.
SAG Strike Part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Red Dead residuals.
You know how we were talking last week about how you edit yourself to sound funnier?
Yeah.
I can say that this is all, like, Kris is on fire tonight. None of this has been, like, edited in. Like, he's actually coming up with stuff, so props to you, Kris.
But yeah, I'm hyped for Red Dead Redemption 2. It's just I'm not sure if I can afford a PS4. What about you? Are you planning on playing it?
I have no money. I'm just spending all this money going out on dates and getting nothing in return. Getting no
Wait,
return.
you don't get a free dinner? You don't get a free dinner out of these
I
Tinder
am
dates?
someone who, as a proud and staunch feminist, I am a huge proponent of going Dutch. I do not want to feel like
Okay.
I owe somebody
Going Dutch means
something
splitting the
that
bill
I'm not. Yeah,
as opposed to starting a gang of outlaws
yeah,
and running the Wild Wild West.
yeah.
Like Dutch from Red Dead Redemption. You don't get that because you didn't play the
I
game.
don't get it. I don't get it because I did not play the game. You're right.
Never mind.
But yeah,
I was like on the fence of whether to go through with that joke. I'm like, she's not gonna get this, is she?
everyone else will. Oh, hang on. Wait, let me put in, like, let me do what you do. Okay, hold on. Be quiet a second. Ha 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 ha, Kris, you're so funny. Oh my god. I totally get that reference. Ha ha ha. Professional voice actor, people. That's probably the best performance I've put on in a while.
Not to call any names, but it's always funny when I put that in a script, like ha 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 ha, and they actually, like the voice actor, instead of laughing,
Really?
they'll actually say ha ha ha.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh, that's so embarrassing. I'm going to be very conscious of my laughing from now on. Thanks.
It's okay. I have tracks of you laughing from our podcast. I can just splice those in.
I'm actually alright at fake laughing. Like, that's one of my talents. It comes from being a girl who goes on dates with unfunny guys. Boom.
Nice. So what I ended up doing instead is just leaving it as dead silence.
Yeah.
I removed the laughter from the script completely because I didn't have the heart to like say,
Or
yeah,
you could just put in
you're
brackets
still not
laughs.
laughing right. Yeah, that's what I used to do, but because that looks weird as subtitles, it's all over interesting NPCs, but I've like as subtitles, like Bethesda, they would put ha ha ha.
Right.
They would spell it out. So I was trying to like keep it consistent. So that's why I do ha 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 now.
Okay.
But yeah, I might go back to like laughs instead. So anyways, go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was just saying that I'm getting really good at my fake laughter.
Mm-hmm.
Again.
Nice.
Repeating that. That is one of my talents, guys. If you want to get me up on any new projects, give me a role that has some great laughter and you'll get like a stellar performance. I mean, I also practice by laughing at Kris's jokes all the time.
We should just make this an advertisement for your services. Why are we even doing a podcast? We'll just run a 30-minute advertisement. How's that?
I mean, yeah, I'm down with it. I mean, you've put together a mod that is like 2 hours worth of advertisements. Like, we're all good at this now. We're old
It's true.
hands at very long-winded advertisements.
Mhm. The other thing, news-wise, I wanted to mention is the state of the channel. We've got how many shows now?
Oh
We've
shit! Is
got
this
5 shows.
State of the Union?
Yes, it is. So we got nice. We've got, let's see, Load Disorder, which is the like live mod review show. We've got Lore Friendly, which is our weekly podcast. Well, it's the one thing that is consistent so far from week to week, because like Ariane is busy and it's like she has like back issues and stuff like that, so it's like difficult for her to record. So it's gone from like a weekly to sort of like whenever we can do it.
We're all very sorry to all the people who subscribed for Load Disorder and ended up with this.
Yeah, they start complaining in the comments like,
sorry guys, this takes literally zero effort.
Well, for you. For me, I gotta splice my jokes in later on.
Yeah. I'm just naturally funny.
So there's that, and there's Atomic Hour is also gonna be weekly. We're gonna try and do it weekly, but that's also difficult. Yeah, that's also difficult because James is doing a ghoul voice, so
if he has a week where if he has a week where he can't push himself to do that kind of voice, then gotta be respectful of the actors. We're better than the actual video game industry.
Yeah. And then the other show, Modcast, which is generating the most revenue of all our shows, despite only having
because
like 2 episodes or 3 episodes. Yeah, it's the salt. It's just, you gotta hop on the outrage train. That's pretty much how you get paid in this business. But yeah, that is gonna be sporadic because it's difficult to get guests on, and also Noctim is a modder who's very busy, unlike myself. And then there's the voice acting show, which is another live show, which we have not debuted, but I swear to God is coming one of these days. It's another thing where I think Lindsay is just really busy, but she's probably someone who's should be good, like doing stuff outside. I know that's probably like pretty embarrassing, but and stuff like that, just like talking to a camera outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope she can do it. I think she is gonna be able to do it. I don't know.
Who is it again? Sorry, the
Lindsay Lloyd.
Oh,
she voiced Etharil. She hasn't done a lot of voice acting for the mod, but she's like a former Miss Utah, I think, or something. Like she's like a pageant queen or something. So like the point is that
that's how we get clicks.
Okay, well, yeah, it's not that. I'm saying it's the fact that she's in front of like thousands of people.
She's used to being in front of an audience and performing.
Yeah, so hopefully that will translate well. I don't know. But yeah. We'll see. I don't know if the show's even going to be made because like she's pretty busy, it seems.
Yeah.
So we don't want to pressure anybody. But the point is to make like a bunch of smaller shows that like our podcast that can be pumped out weekly.
Yeah.
And then have like these like bigger sort of larger production shows that come out occasionally, but that will be like the thing that draws people to our channel so they can hear our shitty opinion on other stuff.
Or just so they can write in the comments section. Where's Load Disorder? Where's the voice acting show? Where's Modcast? It's like, no, you just got us, guys. Sorry.
It's alright. Shut up.
We're catfishing them. We're catfishing our audience. We're luring them in with high quality productions, and then when they click subscribe, all they get is us.
Hit the bell. They get the notification because they want to like know when a new video is up, and bam,
and like new
it's
subscribers will be like, "Ooh, this looks like an interesting show," and then it's us being dicks,
being salty,
being salty dicks. God, no, that sounds painful.
Why would you salt your dick?
My insides kind of like retreated a little bit more of the thought of putting salt on. Oh no, that must be really painful. I feel really bad about that. I'm really sorry.
Speaking of being salty, Defenders episode 7. Did you watch it?
I did watch it. I watched it today, so I'd say that it's fresh in my mind, but I mean...
Yeah, it was like the biggest nothing burger of an episode I've ever seen. It's just... Is there anything to even talk about? Like, they were in the precinct for like 40 minutes, it seems, doing nothing.
Yeah, I have nitpicks.
Okay, go ahead.
Right, so...
Pick them nits.
Let's pick... Actually, in the US, we call, like... You know how you can get, like, head lice? We call them nits. So we are picking nits.
In the US. You, a United States citizen. Call it that.
What?
You said in the US.
I meant in the UK.
Okay. You're an American now.
All right, so... speaking of nits and head lice, one of my major nitpicks is the fact that none of the women in these fight scenes are tying their hair back. I am someone who is a very active person, and I have very long hair, and I have to braid my hair back very, very tightly, otherwise it will get in my eyes, it will ruin anything that I'm doing, it'll get sweaty and gross, and it'll, like, stick to the back of your neck. Like, it's not ideal for fighting to have your hair flying in your face, and, like, Elektra's got, like, I think she's wearing a wig. Okay? That hair doesn't look natural, or it looks like it's been really badly teased. And, like, Jessica's is a bit better because it's a bit shorter and she tucks it behind her ears, but still...
Colleen and Madame Gao, they have their hair tied back, though, right?
Yeah, I was like, well done, Colleen. You actually know how to use a hair tie. Marvel, please invest in some bobbles for your female actors. It will make everything so much better from a long-haired standpoint. But I think the biggest gripe that I had with this episode is I don't watch, like, much media. Like, I don't tend to have much point of comparison and stuff, but this was like a big fight scene episode. And I'm coming to this episode fresh off of the back of the new Kingsman film, which I mean, the film wasn't great, but if there is one thing that the Kingsman series do right, it's really well choreographed fight scenes. So going from something that has obviously been planned out and choreographed to perfection before they even thought about how they were going to shoot it, to the Defenders' way of doing things, which is cut, jibber jabber, cut. No thought put into it whatsoever. There's probably like some vague direction from the script that says, oh, and Magic Lady pushes thing at Luke Cage and Luke Cage cries a little bit. But there's no
fluidity to it.
Yes. It's just something that really bugs me.
But for me, like, the fight scenes were terrible, but it was just a nice reprieve from the 40 minutes of nothing that happened before it.
Like, what actually happened?
Nothing. They could have cut that whole part out.
They could have cut this whole episode out.
Yeah, they should have just woke up from their haze and then gone to the Midland Circle building, and that would have effectively been the same thing. The whole, like, 40-50 minutes where they're in the precinct and their, like, supporting cast members were complaining about them again is just... I don't know. This whole, like, series seems like it's 4 episodes too long. 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It should have been a movie, I think.
I think this is an issue that they have with the TV universe in general. Like, even Jessica Jones, which I absolutely loved...
Oh, that was too long,
It didn't need to be that many episodes. It did begin to, like, drag on at, like, the episode 9 to 10 point. They could have condensed down those 2 episodes into, like, a single episode at least, and just made... They don't know when to stop, I think, is the thing. Yeah,
there's just not much there to expand upon. I mean, it's just like you can make sort of like relationships the focus in the individual seasons, but once you like bring all 4 together, unless you're having the 4 of them interact and like expand on their like relationships with each other, it works better as a movie, I think.
Well, I mean, we have the Avengers to like give the perfect example of that. There's something fundamentally off about this, and it's just not working.
I'm glad it's gonna be over soon. I'm looking forward to just like finishing.
It's not even fun to get angry at like Game of Thrones is.
So next week we're gonna talk about the last episode of Defenders and put this.
It's the last episode.
We're gonna put this thing to bed, and then we're gonna have.
What the fuck has actually happened in this series? I don't know where we began.
Oh, we do know where we're about to end. Like the Iron Fist. Can we talk about how stupid he is for like summoning the Iron Fist? I know he loves it. I know he loves talking about it, but can we talk about how stupid he is for summoning it? He knows that's what she wants.
That was the most obvious fucking ploy ever. Like, I saw it as soon as she put him down in front of there, and she was like, we're a lot alike, you and I. It was like, right, she's goading him. She's goading him. She's going to let him go, and then he's going to try and hit her.
He recognized she was goading him. He's like, I know what you're trying to do. And she's like, yo, really? Now let me go stand over by this wall. Let me stand over by this wall and just wait for you to punch me. And then, you know, maybe I'll just move to the side and you'll hit it. But God.
Basically, what I've come to the conclusion is Danny Rand is a really, really stupid bull. You know, like bullfighting in Spain. That kind of stupid bull.
So you just wave the red Electra flag.
Yeah. I mean, it works as well, because, like, Electra's costume underneath that massive, and probably the highlight of the series for me is that coat, because it's a really nice coat,
yes,
and I would not
nice
mind
coat.
owning it. Like, under the trench coat, her costume is red, so, I mean, the analogy works perfectly. Here we go, we've summarized the Defenders.
That's all he's seeing. He's just seeing red, seeing it, like, wave in front of him. Is it the red, or is it the waving that attracts the bull? Are bulls like colorblind? Can they recognize the color? I don't know.
I have no idea how it works. I just know that it's a really inhumane practice where they stab bulls through the side, and it's not very nice. But you know, what can you do?
It's also inhumane to capture them and then bring them to your basement and, you know, trick them into breaking a wall for you. Is what.
I mean, with Danny Rand, I'll make the exception. It's inhumane that we're subjected to his awful speeches about Chi and the Iron Fist, and how he is the immortal Iron Fist, and how he didn't protect his people.
I'm just disappointed that they like have to keep him alive. That was like the worst plot point. They should have like just drained his blood, and that should have been the immortality juice.
They should have just like thrown him at the wall. Like, there you go, sorted.
Or maybe if he hit the wall and then like a giant dragon came out and ate him. But instead the dragon is dead. So I don't know what the whole deal with that is. But there's a dragon.
Surely they could have got like a bulldozer down there. Or like a wrecking ball.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like that would have had the same effect.
Probably. Maybe invite Luke Cage
like
down
a wrecking ball.
But yeah, there's a dragon down there. Maybe it was Viserion. I don't know. Maybe the Night King threw one of its spears at it, but it's there.
Crossover. I mean, let's face it, Marvel and Game of Thrones are the two most profitable franchises about at the minute, so, you know.
So what do you think? Why is there a dragon down there? Is that the source of the juice?
I think that I would have been much more interested if they had introduced the concept of dragons a wee bit earlier before the what is apparent. How is this the penultimate episode? It's shit.
Well, Danny Rand fought a dragon to get the Iron Fist, right?
Yeah.
It's part of one of his speeches.
I mean,
was
I
how he
guess,
fought a
yeah.
dragon. Yeah, so this is like in the same. He has a dragon on his chest, one of the ugliest tattoos I've ever seen. But
it's probably some really clever foreshadowing that's just gone right over me with boredom.
Well, yeah, they showed his bare chest, and then they panned down to the actual dead skeleton of the dragon. So I don't know. Maybe they're going to revive it. Maybe a dragon is going to fly and just burn this entire franchise to the ground, so we'll never have to watch it again. But yeah. One more episode.
Please.
Are you excited, Alice?
So fucking excited.
All right, so...
You have no idea how excited I am.
All right, so yeah, we bringing Noctium on to talk about Star Trek Discovery, Episode 3.
Oh wow, it's nice talking to you for the first time today, Chris.
Yeah, we didn't just record 30 minutes
No, not at all.
banter that is completely jettisoned for technical reasons. No, we're starting all over. All these jokes you're going to hear for the first time.
So, Chris, what did you think of Episode 3, Star Trek Discovery, Context is the New King? Or something along those lines.
Yeah, I thought it's going into a direction that I didn't really like as far as the main character. She seems to be... I mean, we got hints before of how she was intellectually superior to everyone else, and she was almost right about everything. And in this episode, they almost like doubled down on that. Like,
Yes.
she definitely seems to be going into Mary Sue territory.
Yes, and the character seems to be doing everything and doesn't seem to be having anything wrong with her and has no form of discomfort with anything. Which is an entirely new point that just came to me in my head for some reason.
But yeah, let's start from the beginning. We're 6 months after the previous episode. She's with a group of prisoners. She's got a new haircut, which kind of signifies to me like her whole transition from Vulcan to human. She had the Asian boy haircut to start. She's had a Starfleet haircut in the last episode, and now she's got this kind of whole like badass look to where we're going. I don't know how to better describe it other than she looks like a badass. I don't know if they let you like have hair salons in prison. Apparently they do in the future. It's a progressive society.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't be surprised if by season 2 she has a mohawk.
But she's on this prison ship, and that sort of begins the sort of slightly awkwardness with this episode, as the prisoners don't really know her, except for the fact that they sort of imply that she might have got one of their sisters killed. But that doesn't stop them from trying to kill her in front of the rest of the Starfleet crew. The Starfleet crew of Star Trek, of the newest ship, USS Discovery, which is headed by one Gabriel Lorca, the newest captain character to the team, who is interesting. Isn't it? Despite my misgivings with the episode, it seems very interesting because he's got that kind of trope, which isn't used too often, but I actually quite enjoy of that kind of wayward military officer that's gone native. In the case that kind of the military officer that's kind of a little bit loose with military regulations, and therefore is a little bit loose with morals, and generally just a little bit loose all around, kind of like what's his name, Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now, which kind of might have started that, or the actual book, that was based on.
Yeah, I think it's just an interesting contrast with the previous captain, and that before she was there, like the previous captain Georgia was there to hold back her like human impulses, and then this he's like an enabler. He's gonna encourage her to do the bad things, like
Definitely, that was definitely summed up by his monologue at the end, where he basically said laws are for losers, and basically relativity rules all at the end, or the episode title "Context is for Kings" or something.
He's gonna like give her a coloring book. He's like, draw outside the lines, chew with your mouth open. Like it's just gonna be him encouraging her to break the rules.
Yes, he was played by Jason Isaacs, who we might have remembered as Lucius Malfoy.
Oh, there you go.
From The Patriot, where he shot an American child trying to help his...
He's a Malfoy.
Yes.
All those Malfoys are just wicked.
So he's played a villain in every American film he's been in, so this might be a change of scene for him, or probably not. But let's talk about what he's been working on. He's been working on an experimental new warp drive that seems to teleport ships halfway across the galaxy in about a second. Unfortunately, it's not without its quirks. It's the USS Discovery sister ship, USS Glenn, seems to have suffered a malfunction, which the crew of the US Discovery, led by Michael Burnham, or she goes along with them, has to go and investigate. And there they discover that not only has the crew of the USS Glenn been sort of inverted somehow, been sort of mutilated and destroyed by something, that there's also a sort of eldritch monster on board the ship as well. And it's interesting because this trope isn't a new one. It's not too often. It's not too usual, but it's been before where to get to some place to another in an instant. Usually, like people would have to go through some horrible, monstrous universe, some eldritch universe, to get there. So, in Warhammer 40k, there's something called the warp, which the people of that universe use to get from one place to the other. However, if they stay too long in the warp, or if just by instant they can get corrupted by the sort of hell in there. And also in Half-Life, they invent a sort of teleportation machine to get from one place to the other in an instant. However, they have to teleport across a horrible alien world to do so. And in the game, naturally, that causes some consequences. So it's a sort of previous trope that might be the case here.
Yeah, I think in general, it's just a nice way of just adding consequences to what they're doing. It just makes what they're doing more dangerous, and it makes her personal choices a little bit harder. Like, it gives her some sense of conflict. I mean, if the outside world isn't going to present any challenges to her, at least internally, her decisions, are going to be interesting. There's no way she can do like ninja shit out of this kind of conflict that's going to approach her like she did to escape the Glen. Falling through that hatch with perfect timing and perfect hair. Just one stumble. That's all I was asking. Just a stumble and maybe she hits her head or something while she crashes into the ship. But yeah, whatever.
We do know that she won't really have any real inner conflicts in the future, so we have to introduce these things. It's actually unfortunate, really, because what's interesting, what would be a universe that without laws would be a great foil for a character that's dependent upon logic. But when she's escaping from that alien monster, she recites Alice. Therefore, she's quite comfortable within a logical universe. So therefore, that makes this character even more perfect. So making it even a little less interesting.
Yeah, she's already prepared. Yeah, even for a magical alien world that she's never seen, she's already prepared for it because she read Alice as a child. So she's already like ready for all instances. If up is down and down is up, she's already like ready to go. So yeah, so I mean, I do like that they introduced that as an explanation for her emotional tendencies. But yeah, like you said, it does present this problem where once again she's going to be relied upon to navigate this like nonsensical world that they're going to find themselves in, because she has this kind of extra knack for thinking in unique and creative ways.
Yes, it's very annoying that not only is this she was introduced in the pilot episode as this delinquent who sometimes relies too much on logic to the point where that logic is used to fire upon the Klingons and cause interstellar war, but now she can also rely upon lateral thinking and creativity. It's very boring. And where it would be far more interesting if that character literally was utterly dependent upon logic and it was her only comfort blanket, and then suddenly they introduced this bizarre eldritch, what was that guy called? The guy who wrote the 30s novels. Lovecraft, this Lovecraftian world, and suddenly she's fine with it. Fantastic. Wonderful, right? I mean, like, they must have sat in the writing room and just grasped these tangible, interesting ideas and then just put the pages down and said, film it, But still, I think the character is, compared to old series where the old, like, Enterprise and Voyager, for example, where the characterization was uncontroversial, to say the least. And they had to compensate with overly complex plots, which would be the downfall. This is the opposite, where they would have these interesting characterizations with Gabriel Lorca and Giorgio and Michael Burnham to some extent, and have these plots, these scenes that don't really make any sense. Because we talked about, not in another recording, about her new roommate, for example.
Yes, the quirky sitcom roommate.
Yes, it's a dark Star Trek series where she's been keelhauled or press ganged into Discovery's employ, and then she discovers she's got a new roommate.
So wacky.
Yes, but that scene, that kind of trope only really works if you're sort of like, if you're going to be trapped with this person for 4 years in college, not if you're going to leave tomorrow on the prison ship. So, yeah. Also, did you are there any other points about the episode?
Oh, we did get some clarity on the name thing being intentional. Like, it's not as if in the Star Trek universe, Michael is a common female name. It's actually very, very rare. And the truth is, I wasn't exactly sure if that was intentional. I mean, if there's like a hidden meaning behind it, but you actually have a different explanation.
I'd let Kris know somewhere. She's called Michael, but unfortunately that's because the showrunner names his female leads after male names. So he had a Grim Reaper TV series, I can't remember what it's called, where a girl was the Grim Reaper and she called her Chuck. That was one example. And in this case, she's calling her Michael. So that's another.
There goes my theory that Leonard Nimoy said Michael before he died, and they're splicing his voice acting in there. Yeah, but there's definitely going to be some interesting things coming up as far as with this new captain and how he enables her, and the moral decisions she's going to have to make.
Well, here's the interesting thing, because the MacGuffin is based around this sort of super warp technology that, taking it through an Eldritch world or not, the series after this, like 10 years after this, or which is the original series, and then 100 years after this, which is the next generation, they don't have that warp technology. They're pretty impeded in how fast they can travel from one place to the other. So if this is a secret, operative ship, you maybe they're going to try and tie that together by saying that these experiments don't go as well as they think they do.
And it's going to be Michael who's going to ultimately be the conscience of the show, where she's going to have a choice where she could keep the technology and the expense of lives, or destroy it. And that's usually how these things go, or there's sort of a redemptive arc for her in that sense. And by doing so, she kind of maintains the ideals of Starfleet and the utopian society.
Speaking of utopian societies, I thought it best to end this little segment on a little bit of Star Trek history that the Star Trek Discovery might sort of inadvertently reference, and what's being suggested that Gabriel Lorca and the Discovery itself might be part of is a secret society which has been established in Star Trek lore called Section 31. I despise Section 31, this whole idea of it, and I'll explain what it is. Section 31 was an idea introduced in Deep Space Nine, which is a series that takes place around 100 and a bit years after this series, and it was airing in the 90s, and it took place during a war where the Federation was at war with the alien race. Alien race is called the Dominion, and Section 31 was basically a secret operative society that's existed since the Federation founding. Their purpose, to keep the Federation, together. I hate it because it implies that this utopian society that the Federation is not real and is kept together by operatives in the shadows, and can't persist by itself. Is the worst idea ever. However, every sort of Star Trek property since has been inspired by it and it keeps using it. So it was around in Enterprise, which isn't so bad because no one watches that. But then it was around in the second Star Trek film where the evil admiral and his big evil starship was part of Section 31. And it was even worse because it was implied that they had to destroy the Enterprise to accomplish some evil conspiracy. And now it seems to be the case here, where he's part of some shadowy organization keeping the Federation aloft. So it's definitely in contrary to the... I'm not a person who buys into the whole, Star Trek was some man's utopian vision. I definitely bought the idea that this was a plausible society that could exist in the future, and the fact that it's been kept together by some secret society of operatives operating in the shadows to keep everything going. It feels like the effing Matrix, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it undermines the foundation of what the society was supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, if you believe in society and you discover that it's all in the way that society works, and then you discover it's all been, kept together by some secret society, you would lose faith, So, it's something I dislike, but people seem to keep. Every time people bring back Star Trek, it's the first thing people go to, which is a little bit annoying. Also,
yeah, it does seem to be the theme of this show, though, where it's just a little bit darker. It's a little bit more willing to bend the rules, I guess, to get things done. So.
It's definitely a thing, because I think Section 31 or ideas like it is kind of the symptom, because I mean, you watched Star Trek Next Generation, right? And so did I. Basically, that was the kind of thing where it basically innocently believed in what the message it was implying was, and then Deep Space. And you know how in those 60s and 70s there was this big belief in the ideals of the Western. That the sheriff would come to the town and sort everything out and kill the bad guys and things like that. And then there was like a series of films which destroyed that genre, because it basically implied that whole genre was fascist. Like it was like, society will be sorted out if the right person comes and kills the right people.
Right.
And I think that kind of a smaller, quiet thing happened to Star Trek, where Star Trek Generation basically suggested that this, this could happen and people could be this way and human beings could be evolved. But then Deep Space Nine came along and like overtly questioned it, like questioned the whole thing about it. And ever since then, it's been difficult to recapture that Next Generation feel. And that's kind of similar with here, where you just move more and more to action, you move more and more to the cool concepts and less away from the ideals, which are kind of like, you feel almost kind of embarrassed believing in them, or overtly saying, I believe in this. I believe that human beings can be better, because, it's been kind of undermined.
Yeah, I mean, it's just natural for, any kind of art, it's going to be a reaction to the previous decade or whatever, or previous century of art. It's just the way it goes. So if we get overly cynical, I think eventually it's going to go back to the other side. Even this show, we're talking about how it's going to end already, where it's probably going to end on an idealistic note, right? Because this captain is a cynical man. Everything about it is dark. They're going to be playing around with forces that they don't understand, and the redemptive arc for Michael Burnham is likely going to end with her doing the idealistic thing, right? So, it may start tilting toward that anyway. If every new Star Trek is like dark and cynical and action-based, there's probably going to be some pushback, a clapback that goes back to the old ways. So, these things happen in cycles.
There's actually another series going on right now by Seth MacFarlane, the Family Guy guy. Called The Orville or something, which is kind of what I'm talking about, and people are not really responding to it, which might, I've not seen it, so it might confirm what I'm saying, where he's basically trying to recreate, Next Generation or something. And people are just like, I'm not biting, I think some people like it, but there's definitely this idea where, people don't like Discovery because it's kind of evoking this cynical, it's not super cynical, it's not like, horrible, but it's like there are people, there's definitely a sense that maybe people weren't appreciating Orville because of what I said, maybe, where it's like, they don't believe in it anymore, where it's easy to go back then and watch it in the context of that time, but it's impossible to try and recreate it for a modern sensibility.
Yeah, so anything else that you want to talk about?
What was your final view of the episode? Or have you said that already?
Yeah, my final view more or less is that I'm a little concerned with how much of a Mary Sue she's becoming, Michael as a character, but I think it's going to be entertaining. I like where it's going as far as just bringing in a captain who will enable her worst impulses and trying to encourage her to do the like risky, bad, evil thing, and how she's going to have to fight those. So I think that particular narrative arc is interesting. Hopefully there's like more challenges and conflicts beyond her own personal and emotional one.
I hope there's more of what we talked about, where they actually make use on this potential, I hope they do actually retrofit her character next episode, and she generally can't handle illogical things, and this Eldritch universe blows up, and she has more conflicts with Lorca, and cause I think that there's building blocks there for something interesting. I don't think there's a redemption thing going on, because she's not done anything irredeemable. I don't think. Usually that there's a case where a character has done something convincingly irredeemable to the audience for there to be a redemption arc. I think she's still a delinquent. I think she has to mature and grow as a character, as opposed to redeeming herself. And I hope it gets better from here. I think the characterization, definitely some interesting characterization, but I think the plot needs to be a bit better.
More stumbles, less perfect landings. Is all I'm asking. Less ninja shit. All right, that's it for this episode. And we'll talk to you again next week. There's actually a woman, this was in the news, in Colorado Springs, she's a jogger, and what she would do is she would jog around the neighborhood, but halfway through she would stop in front of this person's house and poop on their lawn. And they call her the Mad Pooper. Yeah,
that's amazing.
She would just keep doing it, and they even took pictures of her, but she wouldn't stop. I don't know if she has some kind of mental illness or anything. That would be kind of sad. But
she's my new idol.
She could just be an exhibitionist, but yeah, they call her the Mad Pooper.
She could just really hate that person. It's next level poop in a doggy bag.